Hello and welcome to today's Couple with Katie takeover. The show this week is being taken over by my Next Level Love interview series. I interviewed 5 absolutely incredible women last week. And this week I'm interviewing again every day, except Thursday. I've got a day off on Thursday because I'm taking my son to hospital. Nothing to worry about, but I have to take him to hospital, so he's my priority on Thursday. But this week I'm interviewing 4 incredible women around how they called in soulmate love in part 2, so the second act of their life. And today I get to talk to April Blanchard. It's such an honor to see you. Hello, darling.
Hello.
April isn't used to being on the other side of the interview. April's work is to interview other people. So actually, before we dive into your love story, April, should we just gently ease in, and do you want to share what your work in the world is?
Yeah, I run a boutique market research agency helping blue chips and charities really understand what their customers and clients are looking for. So I spend my time, used to be traveling around the country, now totally on Zoom, uncovering people's deepest secrets in relation to whatever I'm working on at that point.
Amazing. Yeah, so you're used to being the one asking all the questions. So today you're on the hot seat, and we're talking about something that, is this normal for you to share your love story in a very public place?
Absolutely not. I'm actually quite a shy, very private person, but I've been through a lot, and I think it's important that we are out and public about all of this stuff so we can help each other. Because I know when I found myself divorced after 28 years with the same guy, I was like a babe out of school. I didn't know which way was up. So it's good to talk. I think somebody said that.
I think someone said that before. Yeah, it is good to talk. And by the way, as you're joining live, so hello, Kellyanne. Thanks for saying hello. Anyone else here live, please say hi. And if you're on the replay, also say hi. Do hashtag replay, because I do watch and notice and respond. So I like to see who's watching. So, okay, 28 years married.
Well, 28 years with my partner.
With your partner.
I met my husband at university when I was 19, and we were together for 8 years before we got married. And then we were married very happily, actually, for 20 years.
Goodness me, 20 years married. And so how old did that, are we allowed to talk ages here?
Yeah, I was 19 when I met him, and I was, I think, 49 when we split up.
Right. Okay. How did you feel on that split up? Like, was this expected? Was it unexpected? Was it like, where were you at emotionally with the end? Because that's a long relationship.
Yeah. My ex-husband is a really, really good man. And we were very, very happy for a long time. But I think we descended into what's known as what Jenny Harlan Khan calls Family Inc., where you are this mini business of, managing the kids, doing whatever. And I think our marriage suffered from some communication issues, some particular blockages we both had. And to cut a very long story short, I kind of woke up to a realization that this was not enough for me. And at a similar time, I think my ex-husband woke up to a similar realization for himself. My solution was to deep dive into personal development. His solution was distraction, I think we'll call it that, and ended up in a position where the trust was totally gone in the relationship and I couldn't stay in it. Having said that, the divorce process for the pair of us was actually really went as well as it could. He's a really good man and he's fair, and I'm a good person too. And our priority is the well-being of our children and each other. We've come out through this as really good friends, really good co-parents, and I admire him and have a huge amount of respect for him. But he's no longer my man. He was, and he isn't.
Oh, that's making my eyes well up. I mean, that is it's so beautiful. It sounds like a proper, whether you knew you were doing it or not, a real conscious uncoupling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, absolutely it was. And that was a decision on both our parts. We didn't have the language or the skills to describe it in that way, but the process was very much that.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful, because I mean, we hear so many awfully tragic stories about people's relationships ending and it being so fiery and full of discord, and yet there was once so much love, and it's such a shame that that is no longer remembered or honored or respected. And it sounds like you managed to keep the honor and respect for what you had all those years as parents, as well as a couple.
Yeah, and I love him very deeply. I'm just not in love with him.
Yeah.
And so we've come out at a really positive place. I don't want to make it sound like happy clappy land. It was a traumatic. I really suffered. I remember being, in absolutely bawling my eyes out, hysterical snot mountain, and one of my girlfriends came around just to do some EFT with me, just to kind of tap me out of the misery.
Yeah.
But it's a grief journey like everything else. And now I am 5-6 years on from that. And, a lot has healed.
Yes. And I really hear you on the grief journey. And it's such an important part of the process that cannot be skipped.
Yeah.
Part of calling in next level love, because of course, I mean, you've ended a relationship. Well, no, you're always going to be in a relationship. You've ended a marriage with somebody because you both agreed that you want something more, like you were ready for more, whatever that more was. And in my language, that's next level when it comes to relationships. And so when you're opening up to next level, absolutely part of that process, it has to be an emotional healing journey, doesn't it, to heal what has gone on before, because you don't want to drag that stuff into a next level love, do you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think it's interesting. I wasn't looking for a next level love. I was looking for whatever was next, but it didn't feel like I've done this, the next thing's got to be bigger and better. I don't want to devalue the really positive marriage experience, but I knew I didn't want that again. I was a different person now. I needed something different, and discovering what that was.
Right. Oh, let's talk about the fun discovering what that was. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. But I love this. So the way you're defining next level for you, it wasn't like I want better. It's just I'm a different person. So I need to find the match for the woman that I am now.
Yeah.
Very much so. Okay. So after the grieving process, there may have been some crossover with the grieving and the fun exploration. Tell me about the fun. What did you mean when you said that?
Okay, I made a very conscious decision to take time out to work on myself and heal through this process. So because of my kids' exams, my ex and I had agreed in the January that we were splitting, but we stayed together in the same house in the same bedroom through till my kids had finished their O-levels and A-levels, so GCSEs, showing my age, and A-levels. We didn't want to have that trauma whilst they were going through that. And I really did a deep dive into looking after myself. I ended up with the One of Many group, which is it's a female all women personal development course. Lasted for a year, and that was brilliant in offering me the support I needed, and a focus on all. It wasn't about relationships, it was a focus on all aspects of my life, which is what I needed, because this transformation in myself rather than just an exit from the marriage. So I took a year out purely for me, and running through that process, met some amazing women, learned a huge amount of stuff. And one of the weekend retreats we did was called Be Love. And that was a real turning point for me because it enabled me to fully step into my responsibility for the end of my marriage. That this wasn't something that happened to me. Like everything else, this was something that my ex-husband and I had co-created. And where I had failed in the relationship and to really embrace my responsibility for that was actually hugely empowering. And I met other women at different stages of the journey, and my lady I was working with most closely with, Bev, and I, who was also single, decided that it was time for us to do something about this. So this was, a year after my marriage. I'd left a year after we'd split and gone into different places, and I decided that I was going to get out there and start dating again. And I wasn't looking for a soulmate. I was looking for some fun. I wanted to, date different men, have different experiences, go to different places. And it was a real journey of discovery for me, of uncovering who I was in relationship outside being somebody's wife, because I hadn't been on a date since I was 19. So the knowledge and wisdom in my head was that of an almost 50-year-old woman, and the dating experience and maturity in the world of relationships was that of a 19-year-old girl. So
that's really interesting. Yeah. When you went into your marriage, did you go into it thinking it would be forever, that you would grow old together?
Absolutely. Yeah. A real shock that it didn't.
Yeah.
A real shock to everyone around us, because we were the very stable, very safe couple. So back to square one. So I'm a researcher. So what did I do? I researched it. I went on. I had a look around at what was available. I joined up with a couple of websites. I listened to people's videos, and I kind of sort of got some courage to go out there and start dating. And oh my God, what a journey. It was absolutely incredible. I wouldn't have missed that year I had before I met the man I'm with now, very much in love with. Wouldn't have changed it for the world. It was such a journey. Talking briefly earlier, every lesson I needed to learn about myself and who I am, what's okay and what's not okay, was presented to me, wrapped up in the form of a different guy.
That's so powerful, because often there's a time, as you did, there's a time for going within and doing your inner work, and you did that in that year. And then there's a time for putting it into practice and literally allowing yourself to put your training wheels on. It's like, well, okay, I've kind of learned the theory about speaking my truth and about being vulnerable and saying how I feel and what I want and all these things. But actually doing it is super awkward before it's elegant.
It's super awkward. But I was so blessed. I joined Bumble.
That's where I met my James.
That's where I met pretty much everybody I dated. And I had all these presents drop into my lap. So I dated the most beautiful man I have ever seen, who was just Adonis-like. I couldn't believe that this gorgeous, gorgeous man wanted to date me. But he did, and we had the most amazing time. He was really, really wow. But kind of like having 6 slices of chocolate gâteau all at once. It was. And so, but he was one of the first seriously dated. It's just like the scales falling from my eyes as to so much that was out there for me, and the fact that I was, you know, glamorous and desirable and all of these things. Because out of your mouth, you'd come out of any divorce feeling like, you know, something on the bottom of somebody's shoe. So I really feel, so I'm a practicing Christian, and I really feel like God sent him to me to just wake me up. And, you know, my God said, oh my God, April's discovered sex. This is incredible. They were just going on and kind of changing. I didn't stay with him for very long. He was there for me. He was a gift. He was there for what he needed.
Such a gift. I love that you said that Bumble drops loads of gifts into your lap. Him being the first one, that's amazing.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, there were other people who came into my life for different reasons. So if a bit of my backstory, my eldest son has cerebral palsy, spastic diplegia, and is a wheelchair user. So I'm a special needs parent, and I've been through on a real journey with that. So one of the guys I dated was a disabled guy who was in a wheelchair, and the loveliest, sweetest guy. He was amazing, absolutely amazing guy. And I had I had a really pure, really special experience in my time with him. But the boundaries in my head started morphing between my thoughts and feelings around disability and what was part of my relationship with my son and what was a part of my relationship with him. And I have a personal challenge in that I'm a caregiver. It's very much how I live my, you know, I look after people and pour a lot of sort of love and nurture into my relationships. And I realized that the balance in the relationship with this wonderful man was too much for me. You know, it was too much I wasn't the right person to support him in the way he needed to be supported because of the support I have to pour into my son, who's in a similar situation. Yeah. So I'm so grateful for him. You know, I adored him. And again, he feels like somebody who was sent to me to help me explore my boundaries around that issue. And I'm where I'm at.
This is really making me feel very emotional because so the thing for me is I get tears when we hit on truths and you're speaking. I mean, someone just said, one of the comments was love your truth, April. And you're speaking, you really are speaking from your heart at the moment. You're so open and it's really beautiful. And how gorgeous to notice the gifts that you received, the gratitude that you have for that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful because so many people's dating experiences or the way they approach it isn't from a place of curiosity and receiving the gifts of the experience. It's disappointment. Oh, you're not him. This isn't it. This isn't what I want. Or there's like maybe there's a desperation, or maybe there's a impatience or entitlement, you know, these pieces. But what I'm hearing as you're speaking is just you've approached dating from a place of receiving gifts and curiosity and exploration and trust, real trust, actually.
Yeah, I had my challenges. I remember when we were in touch and you were on Bumble and you'd met James, and I met a James on Bumble who I absolutely fell hook, line and sinker.
I've lost you for a minute, April.
I wasn't true to myself.
Go back a sentence because we dropped out for a second.
So yeah, I met James and I wasn't true to myself. I compromised my values in order to be with him, and it blew in my face. So I met him. I was intensely attracted to him, fell for him very quickly in a way that I kind of hadn't previously. I was quite emotionally involved very, very quickly. But there were kind of three things that I had that I wasn't going to do or that weren't going to be part of my dating thing. And not knowingly, but I found myself in a situation where all of those things were compromised. He wasn't divorced. He was still in a situation where he was, the divorce was going through, but he was in a house with his partner. He had small children his kids were something like 8 to 12. I can't remember what the other thing was that it crossed, but those were two things I was not going to do. You know, I was not going to go near anybody till they were clear, kind of clean and clear, as it were. I make divorce sound like an STD, but you know, it is to a certain extent. That's what it feels like for people. And I knew that I didn't want to be with anybody with younger children, because my kids are great. I was past that stage, and I've got this overactive caregiver thing going on. I didn't want that to be magnified in a relationship with somebody, and I got very badly hurt. And it was, again, you know, I really value the time I had with him and the lessons I learned, painful though it was, that if you are true to yourself, it's not, you are hiding to nothing. So that was probably my most painful and uncomfortable experience in all of this.
Yeah. Clean and clear, yes.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. Men go out there so quickly. The number of men who you see on these sites who are, you know, days, weeks from splitting up with somebody, and they're so, and no, it's big kind of like, don't go there.
Yes, I also, just to caveat that, I do, because of my line of work and the amount of women I'm speaking with and dating that I'm privy to, there are a lot of men that don't as well, that don't jump straight in, and there's plenty of women that jump straight in. I mean, it's kind of like, well, you were saying this a little bit about your ex-husband as well. There's that, you know, you can become quite distracted or reactionary to, you know, rather than like you chose to, which I'm like a huge fan of. You chose to respond, to go within, to do your healing work, and to then like slowly, step by step out into this new, wide, wonderful world of dating. Yeah. So this guy taught you a whole other lesson around, like, because you really, like, you were, it sounds to me like you did a lot of your growth and healing and transformational work through the dating process. So they were showing you the pieces, and so he was teaching you about boundaries.
Yes, absolutely. And it is funny. It is very, very, have lots of fun experiences as well. There was one guy, I didn't date that many guys actually, but one guy I dated who was a little bit absent, but I have a busy life, so I didn't kind of spot that. And they would go out and have a lovely date, went to the ballet and did some really nice things together. I wasn't intimately involved with him. And we'd moved to the point where with him, where we were going to actually commit to just dating each other. I would sort of pull back to say that while I was dating, I would date several guys at once. I deliberately not date one guy at a time, because I didn't want that much focus on one other person. I wanted the focus to be on me. Gosh, doesn't that make me sound selfish?
No, I absolutely love that. I love that you chose to make you the focus. I mean, I'm working with one woman at the moment who's just come out of a marriage and is just starting to be ready to date. And she just because she's in my mastermind, and she commented this morning about a weekend walk that she went on with this guy. And she was saying how great it felt to just practice being with somebody and practice just having it be all about her, and not worrying about, well, am I enough for him, or what's he thinking right now, or how does he need me to be, or how should I show up for him. She's like, oh my God, I'm actually feeling how great it feels to just focus on me and my needs and what I want. And I think that's a really important part of the process, because for so many women, as you, with a caregiver sort of tendency, it's so easy to make it all about them. It has to be all about you.
Yeah,
to start with, and then it comes back into balance, right?
That was an absolute thing for me, because I could feel myself getting kind of almost sucked back into old patterns, and I didn't want that. So I decided to do the whole kind of, circular dating, I think they call it in the States, where you have a circle of guys in your orbit, and you're auditioning, basically. You're auditioning these different guys. And I was never sort of, intimate with anybody in my circle. If I wanted to go to the next level of having an intimate relationship with somebody, the other guys would drop off, and that's the person who I would be in relationship with. And so I was about to sort of drop my circle for this one guy, and he was, I was at my best friend's, and I'd cancelled something with him to go off and do this thing with have a weekend away with my best friend. And I didn't know that whilst he was sort of, dating me, having had the chat about, right, it's just going to be the two of us, and he then hit on my girlfriend, my best girlfriend, who was also on Bumble that very same weekend. And rather than be upset about it, we were just wetting ourselves with laughter. Hysterical. So I went in on her profile on Bumble, said, "Hi, so and so. Was looking forward to you meeting my best friend, but it looks like you have already. Won't be speaking, won't be seeing you again." Blocked him, and that was that. So, but I think through this whole process of the learning, the journeying, the different things, it all stopped being about that person and them being the one or it being important. It was about me.
So that's so important. And is that, well, maybe you just answered the question I'm about to ask. How did you handle dating and then that not working out, and dating someone else and it not working out, or not being the one, realizing this has been great, you're a gift, but you're not for me? Like, how did you actually handle that? Was there disappointment? Was there?
No, because I think the multiplicity of it really helped. Because if somebody was like, "No, I don't want to see you again, this isn't right for me," and I'm pretty decisive, I know pretty quickly, I get this I feel pretty quickly whether somebody's interesting to me or not interesting to me, and then we journey through the interest and see if there's anything more interest to come behind it. But because I wasn't putting all my eggs in one basket, because I wasn't, or rarely, when I didn't feel the loss in quite that way. And there were 3 or 4 guys, I would say, I seriously dated before I met my partner. And with each of them, I came to a point where, whether it was, I think the longest relationship was 6 months, the shortest must have been, a month or so, where I was, "No, this isn't for me. You're not, I don't want to be putting any more energy into this relationship." And a couple of those guys have stayed really good friends, which is nice. They're lovely guys. They're lovely guys. They're just not my guy. So yeah, it's been positive, and I have had my crying, "Oh my God, this is so awful." I had with James. I've had I'm really pissed off with this. I'm just getting fed up with this. It's a bit tedious. There are too many, too many immature people, or people ghosting, or people being silly. This. So my year of serious dating was a dipping in and dipping out experience, according to energy levels and what was going on in my life. If I wanted to do it, I went back out there and did it. If I didn't, I would pause the app and not go there for a while, and then start thinking, "Oh, I just want to go and see, who's on Bumble at the moment," and then I'd be back in it again.
So you really followed the feminine flow. You really trusted your intuition. You trusted your energy, and you only went online and you only dated when it felt really good for you.
Yeah.
Is that how you handled the whole online dating, multiple people thing as well? Because I know there's a lot of women I'm working with that'll be like, I hate online dating. It's too, or I'm not going to do it because it's too exhausting. Or it's like a full-time job. I can't handle it. Like, what would you say to those women?
If it's not feeling good, don't do it. It's, for me, it was all about feeling like fun. And when it stopped feeling like fun, I stopped doing it. And then when it felt like it would be fun, I went back and I did it. I'm massive on my own intuition, and I've learned to trust myself. And that's what I did.
April, you have a very empowered feminine energy.
Thank you. What a lovely thing to say.
You really do. I mean, the way you've dated has, what the story you're sharing is super empowered feminine way of dating. You've approached it with curiosity, with joy, with fun, with ensuring it's in alignment with the truth of who you are, with only doing it when it feels good, with being like the alignment with your intuition, and you know, you would use the word God probably, like that connection. You know, you followed that connection and trusted. Trust is a word you've used a couple of times. You've trusted that whoever's coming in and out of your life, it's just meant to be. It's part of the process. It's part of your learning. It's part of your journey. It's the gift, the connection to gratitude. I mean, all of these pieces. This is the empowered feminine way of doing life. Like, you're just like on it.
Thank you. It's very kind of you to say.
Yeah. Someone's asking, and I don't know. So this is who is? Can you comment, please? Who is Facebook user? Someone is commenting here all the way through, and I don't know who it is. Can you let me know? And whoever this is asking, did you ever consider personal matchmaking?
No, I didn't know what was out there and what was there to start off with. So I went on Match.com, but it didn't feel right for me. It felt too serious. It felt too much like hard work. And I think I met the guy who was disabled. I met through Match.com, but I probably did that for a month or so. Then I looked at the different things that were out there. I tried a couple. My best friend was divorced 3 years before me. She only started dating after I'd started dating, and she'd seen a bit of what it was like. So going this journey together. And I think she found Bumble and introduced me to it. And I just really liked it. It fits. It's very female oriented. It fitted with my views. And I found it easy and I found it fun. So that was good. If
ease and fun is the name of the game when it comes to dating, right?
And not everybody likes it. It's not for everybody. You know, it's panacea to all ills. It just worked for me because what I was looking for was fun. I wanted somebody to have fun with. I wasn't actually looking for somebody to be my life partner because I'd been there and done that and got the t-shirt. And I wanted, I think part of me saw being in a very committed relationship as being limiting. Okay. And I learned a lot through my relationship with my partner, the wonderful Joe, that it doesn't have to be. So having learned all those lessons about me and dating, when I got into a relationship, I had to learn a whole other raft of undoing and redoing about what it is to be in a relationship with somebody. It's been a roller coaster.
All right, let's talk about that next. I'm just going to acknowledge Nicola. Nicola, good to you. Hello, darling. Good to have you. Yeah, I don't know why your name and photo is not coming up either. And I have a feeling, because I'm using a platform here to stream this to multiple Facebook pages and LinkedIn and YouTube. And you might just be in a Facebook group that for some reason the tech doesn't allow to show your face. If you're in a different, if you want to come over to my personal Facebook page, you'll probably, not page, profile, your name will probably come up. But anyway, I know who you are now. All right, April, let's talk. Have you ever heard of the term? I'm going to forget it now. Meet cute. Have you heard of the meet cute?
No, what's that?
No. Oh, okay. So the meet cute. I remember when I was. Let me tell you a quick little story. When I was in LA, super single. This is going back. Oh my goodness, like 8 years now, I suppose. And I was there working with my coach, and it was the last day of my trip, and everyone that I knew that was there had gone home, and I was on my own. I thought, I'm not done with LA yet. LA is great. I'm going to go hit the town on my own. So this was me in like really fired up, like very fun, curious energy. Like I was up for just seeing what was out there and having a bit of a laugh. And so I took myself out on the town on my own in LA, and I found myself Santa Monica beachfront at this super trendy hotel that had this rooftop bar, and there was a huge queue to get in, but I was carrying shopping bags because I've been on a shopping spree as well. And they presumed I was staying in the hotel, so they just ushered me in. I didn't realize that there was this huge queue for this amazing like club up at the top, on the top of the hotel. So up I went, left all my shopping bags with the concierge. Actually quickly realized it was really an amazing place. I got changed into some of the clothes I just bought, went out onto the rooftop, and got myself a drink, and then started chatting with people. And this guy came along, and he worked in young, very beautiful LA man. And he was an agent for Hollywood actors. Of course he was. We were in LA. So he started to explain to me what a meet cute was, because in the industry, it's a term that's known. And he was telling me that he and I were having a meet cute, because I just shared the story how I've just been shopping and I just got changed in the girls' bathrooms to come up to this swanky bar. And a meet cute is the story, the fun, like, how did you find each other, bump into each other's story. So for example, it would be you were both shopping in a department store, you ran out to get the same cab and accidentally switched bags, and he goes home with your bag and you go home with one of his bags, then you have to find each other. That's like the meet cute. So I want to know what your meet cute was. Like how did it happen?
Okay. We were chatting to each other for a little while, not for very long. My perspective with online dating was, if I want a pen pal, I can get one. My object in the dating chatting thing is to get through it as quickly as possible and to meet somebody, because when I meet somebody, I feel whatever I feel. So, and he had exactly the same perspective. So there was no mucking with him. We went very quick chatting through to let's have a date. I think it was been about a week after we first hooked up. And he just asked me to meet him at the South Bank by the the Nelson Mandela statue, just those steps as you're going up. So I arranged to meet him there, which I did. And then he said we didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know what we were doing. So he just kind of grabbed me by the hand, walked me down the South Bank, and we ended up at the Tate Modern at the swing installation. It was in the Great Hall there. So it's this big, statue-y thing covered in swings. And he just sort of put me up on a swing and we just kind of swang. And I was like I was a little girl. It was like I was 4, playing on these enormous swings. And the swings were set up for like 3 people, but it was just the 2 of us. And I am really into the arts and really do things that are kind of creative and interesting. So it couldn't have been more magical. There was no kind of let's go for a drink or take you out to dinner or whatever. We went and played in an art gallery on swings. It was the perfect first date. And we went for a walk down to sort of St. Paul's, and then we stopped off at the wine bar that's attached to the Globe, had a glass of wine, and then went back to Waterloo. I went home, he went home. And
What a lovely first date.
it was so lovely. It was.
Nicola said, and by the way, Nicola, I can see your face now. Hello. She said, swinging on your first date.
Yeah, it was a sign. It was a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was amazing. And he is, just the right person for me. He is. I've had to drop a lot of my barriers, and I'm not talking about my. What I'm talking about here is the shell I had built around myself to protect myself from being hurt by people. I've had to drop a lot of that with him. He is very. He really wants to take care of me, and I have traditionally not been very good at being taken care of. You know, Miss Independent, do it for myself, the whole superwoman crap thing. Yeah. So I've had to really learn that it's okay for somebody else to take care of you. That's a real journey and experience with him, and we just love the same thing. We love the same things. So after a couple of times we'd met up, it was my turn to take him somewhere, and I knew by this stage he's Maltese and he's Catholic. So I'd met somebody who was a practicing Christian when I didn't know that when I sort of met up with him on Bumble. So we had all of that, that was really, really positive. But I'm going to absolutely really show myself up now. Okay. So I thought, well, if he's Catholic, and half my family are Irish Catholics, and some of them it can be quite strict. And I was thinking, if he's Catholic, does that mean he's going to be, homophobic? He's going to have a problem with this, that, or the other. I was a bit kind of, unsure, which is, my bad, as my kids would say. And so I said that I was taking him out to dinner, and I bought tickets for us to go and see Everyone's Talking About Jamie, which is one of my favourite shows. I absolutely love it. But it's about, the 16-year-old trans boy who wants to wear a dress to prom. Yeah. Fantastic music. I love it. And I'd kind of thinking, well, it'd be interesting to see how we get on with this. And of course, he absolutely loved it. Well, we were sitting in I took him out to dinner, and we were in this really lovely little French bistro, and it was about sort of 7:00. And I was like, right, we've got to pay the bill, get the bill now. It's time to go. And he was like, what's going on? He thought that was it. That was the end of the date. That we were, that I'd, cut things short. And I said, no, we've got to go. We went over, had the most amazing time at this show. And it turns out, that, one of his kids is gay. He's totally cool with, he's just totally wanted, he's not, he's a practicing Christian with a very deep faith, but he doesn't have of the negativity that can go with the church. My attitude is one of, loving humanity and seeing the good in everybody and treating your neighbour as yourself. That's my type of Christianity. And he shares that. And, we go to church together. He comes to my church one week. I go to Mass with him the next week. We went on pilgrimage with my church family to Jerusalem together. Had that whole Holy Land together.
Wow.
He's just wonderful. He really is a wonderful guy.
Wow. So you're getting, there's lots of wows and lots of love for you at the moment. Well, tell me a little more. We've got a little bit of time left. Because you alluded a couple times to, it's not until you get into the relationship that the real journey begins and the real healing begins. And you started to say how you had to start to let your barriers down. And I totally know what you mean by that. Do you want to share a little bit more about what you learned and how you've grown inside this relationship?
Yeah. I've pulled away from him a couple of times. Yeah. No, I can't do this. This isn't, it stretched me. Yeah. And when that's happened, he's understood that this is me running away, and running away is my coping strategy. And he solid and there for me. And yeah, recognized my challenges, my communication challenges, and has been there and been prepared to work through them. And through me, has recognized his own communication challenges, and we're kind of working through them together. But it really does feel like we were sent to each other, because 4 months after we'd been going out, by which time I was madly in love with him, as he was with me, he got diagnosed with cancer. So we had been together for 4 months, and he got a diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which meant fairly quickly he had to start chemotherapy. And for me, there was no question that I was going to be there and I was going to support him through all of this. And his family, his mum and dad, who are Maltese and quite, were very traditional, were quite concerned, about this new relationship and this new woman with, because they have, he has a couple of girls, and they met me through this whole thing, and it kind of further accelerated everything. That following year was like everything else broke down and broke away, other than us and getting through this experience and getting him well. So it was 3 years now, but in some ways it feels like 30. We have been through such a lot during that time, and none of it felt, that sounds really weird, none of it felt like trauma. It was a thing that was happening and that we had to get through, and we got through it really, really well. And having shared that experience, it's such a bond between us, that we've journeyed through that together. You go through tremendous highs and lows in a marriage. I know I certainly did in mine. And this relationship feels kind of turbocharged. We've just packed so much into this time that we've had. So I don't do things by halves.
Apparently not.
No. Which was, and what was so funny was that when we'd got together, his big thing was that one of his big things that coming into the relationship was that he was a very drama-free guy. Nice. We'd got divorced at the same time. He'd been on his own, I'd been on his own. We'd kind of come back into it in the same. And he was looking for somebody who was loving but independent and strong. And his thing was that, yes, no drama. I'm a guy who will not give you drama. My God, I've had more drama from him than you can shake a stick at. But it's not just.
But it hasn't felt like drama.
No, it hasn't. So,
So this is so beautiful because, first of all, what you're modeling is that you don't have to be perfect and have everything sorted and every single piece of you that needs work or healed and done. That you just don't need to be perfect to call in this love, and that a lot of the healing will happen inside of the relationship. I think.
Yes, absolutely. And I wasn't looking for the one. I was looking for something now. And I've ended up with somebody who feels like the one. But having said, I'm not married and I'm not planning on getting married. Message from Nicola. He's been in remission for 2 years. He's doing really, really well. The experience has changed both of us. He's gone from being Mr. Career Man, really driven, through to I'll take this contract and work for 6 months and then I'll take some time out. And then, it's really changed both of us. You learn so profoundly through a cancer journey that life is for living and every day is a gift. And I know those are cliches, but they are so true, and you feel it in a different way having done. But oh God, so imperfect. I screw up so regularly on a daily basis, and he, as does he. And instead of looking for the other person to be perfect and make it all right, he always says to me, he said, whatever happens, we're better together.
Yes, whatever happens, better together. Oh, so beautiful. Because this is a big piece that a lot of the women I'm working with are coming to understand, and it was definitely a big part of my journey, is starting to know for sure that there are men in the world, empowered men, that can hold you and be that safe harbor, that strong container for you to wobble inside of, or to have your moments, to have your emotional range, to be imperfect. These guys do exist, and it's an empowered man that can do that. What do you think it is about him that enables him to be that for you?
Oh, I really don't know. He's just him. And I think what's important for other women looking on and listening to this is that there are lots of lovely men out there. He is one of many. If it, to sound again, me being selfish and weird, if it hadn't been him, it would have been somebody else because of me. And I don't mean that in a kind of, hey, wow, look at me, aren't I amazing? I mean in terms of where I've got to and all the work, because I'd made it about me. Yes. It didn't, I am one of many as a woman, and he is one of many as a man, and we're having a wonderful experience together. And he could have had a wonderful different experience with somebody else. It would have been just as wonderful. It just wouldn't have been me. And I feel that I could have had a wonderful experience with somebody else, because I am the love I am bringing to the relationship, and he is the love he's bringing to the relationship. It's not that love is something I suck out of him or he sucks out of me. It's something we carry within us, and there's a kind of mutual reflection of that.
I'm giggling because, I mean, can you just come and write my marketing copy, please? Because you have literally just summed it up in like 2 sentences. Boom. I mean, that is exactly it. You guys are a vibrational match, and like you model so beautifully not being attached to outcome, and which is so key to calling somebody in, for it to be aligned. And you, as I said earlier, you are an empowered woman. And so, of course, you're going to call in an empowered man, because that's your vibrational match. It's like, of course you would. You didn't know you were doing it. And that's what's so bloody brilliant about this, because it proves that whether you know you're doing it or not, this is how energy works. You showed up as an empowered woman. You've been on your journey. You're doing your healing work, approaching it with fun and curiosity and open-heartedness and trust and all the things. And so, of course, you're going to call in that guy that can hold you safe when you wobble and be part of your ongoing healing journey, and you're choosing to grow and evolve together. It's bloody beautiful. And then challenges like cancer. Oh my goodness. And yet you say it's almost like a life experience that you're choosing to move through together. It doesn't mean there has to be a drama attached to it. We're just moving through this next phase of life, apparently, and this is apparently what we have to face. And actually, apparently, this is what's going to bring us even closer together. Like you're seeing the gift in the experience, which is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Nicola saying, I feel blessed to also have that man. Amazing. She's wondering if you've got a book on the way. Do you guys know each other?
No.
Love this so much, of choosing yourself and each other every day. Amen. Yeah.
And it is a choice. It's a choice for all of us. You know, he
Yeah.
chooses me, I choose him, we choose ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and we have to choose ourselves first, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm thinking back to things I did. I'm remembering now things I did before I started on the dating thing. I took myself off on holiday on my own to Vienna. I've never been on, I've never gone anywhere on my own, and had the most amazing time. So there was such a lot of growing up I had to do. Or I was ready to move on out again. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Very beautiful. It sounds like you really went through a process of really claiming yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, not just being, you know, my boy's mother, or, you know, my wife, or, you know, it was it was definitely I think it's a process for lots of, you know, women once they hit perimenopause, actually focusing on themselves and uncovering that, you know, they are worthy and valid and have got, you know, the right to take up space in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your body is literally saying, right, come on, it's all about you now. Yeah. Oh, that's really beautiful. Thank you so much, April. Really, really have enjoyed hearing your story.
Thank you.
Yeah, very heartwarming. Somebody else said earlier on how I think it was Kelly. No, it wasn't. Who was it? Someone. Helen, I think, said that it was very heartwarming. Yes, it has been a very heartwarming conversation. And yeah, really glad that you guys have each other. But no plans to get married, right? Is that it? No.
No, perfectly happy as I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. You did great on the other side of the conversation.
Thank you. You made it a very safe space. It just feels does just like anybody else has been here. It's just felt like you and I chatting. So
really nice.
Yeah, I think the work you're doing is absolutely brilliant, Katie, and it's great that you're there to help women like me take that step forward.
Oh, my pleasure. It's my absolute pleasure. I love it. Yeah, I feel very lucky that I've been or Nicola wants to connect with you. There you go. I'll let you guys do that. But yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you everybody who's been here live. And if you're on the replay, please do type in #replay. And I'll be interviewing somebody else again tomorrow. So there's lots more inspiration and hope and love coming your way this week. It's my pleasure to offer it. Actually, I'm really enjoying this. It's so fun hearing these stories. Is this work? No.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, April. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you
Bye,
later.
everybody.
Bye.